See here, beta. So when we are doing cavernous sinus, I told you anteriorly it is related to superior orbital fissure. Posteriorly, it is related to apex of the pittus part of the temporal bone. Okay, cavernous sinus is present on either side of the hypophyseal fossa or the body of sphenoid bone. Now this is also Netter's picture. Now such beautiful picture it is. You are finding pituitary gland here. Okay, this is right cavernous sinus, left cavernous sinus. Okay, now cavernous sinus anteriorly also, if you observe, they are connected anteriorly. Okay, anterior intercavernous sinus, posteriorly they are connected, posterior intercavernous sinus. So in the middle, what do we have? Internal carotid artery, isn't it? So this is, and if you observe this cavernous sinus, it shows many partitions, no? So many partitions it is showing. That means these partitions are called as caverns. Caverns, as though many rooms are there. These caverns are actually better appreciated in cadavers when you see in live body. Okay. So numerous these partitions are nothing but trabeculae across their interior, giving them a spongy appearance. The two sinuses are communicating with each other by means of anterior intercavernous sinus, posterior intercavernous sinus. Now you should understand tributaries better, very, very important. Now tributaries means like we have incoming channels and outgoing channels. Actually, previous pictures were good. I'll go with those pictures. Uh, See, this picture is very good. So you are finding the veins which are coming from the orbit, like superior ophthalmic vein, inferior ophthalmic vein, central vein of retina. Okay, like sphenoparietal sinus. Whatever nearby sinuses are there, they are just coming and they are pouring their blood into cavernous sinus. So these are called as incoming channels. Okay.
Okay.
Now similarly, cavernous sinus is not the outlet. The blood has to go out from here. Finally it should go out. Finally it should go out and it should drain into sigmoid sinus and then go out,
Stigmas
isn't
and
it?
internal jugular vein.
So that means we have incoming channels, we also have outgoing channels. The outgoing channels will consist of the superior petrosal sinus, finally inferior petrosal sinus, then sigmoid sinus, then it will drain into internal jugular vein. Okay. With this concept, if you read, you will understand the tributaries. Okay, the incoming channels. Okay, suppose this is our cavernous sinus, it is receiving the superior ophthalmic vein, inferior ophthalmic vein, the veins from brain also, like inferior cerebral vein, sphenoparietal sinus, central vein of retina. Okay, the sinus drains posteriorly. Where is it going into? Superior and inferior petrosal sinuses, and also into pterygoid plexus of veins, which we see in the face, in the infratemporal fossa region. That's the reason, if there is any infection due to pimples, if you want to pick more, what happens? The infection through the pterygoid plexus of veins via emissory veins, they can go into cavernous sinus. So that's why this area of the face is called as a dangerous area of face. Okay, because
Okay.
you will
Okay.
see the pterygoid plexus of veins. Okay, so they are getting connected through the emissory veins into cavernous sinus. Okay. Now you can see these are the ophthalmic veins which are coming and draining into cavernous sinus. Okay, this is pterygoid plexus of veins. I told you we see in the infratemporal fossa. Through emissory veins, the pterygoid plexus of veins will have a communication with cavernous sinus.
Cavernous
Okay.
sinus.
So each sinus, like each right and left cavernous sinus, has important communication through facial vein. Here you can see this is the facial vein. Okay. So
What, ma'am?
this is the
What is this
facial
point?
vein. Facial vein, deep facial vein will have communication with pterygoid plexus of veins. So that
Okay.
directly the pterygoid plexus of veins is not getting infected. Initially facial vein, through facial vein, deep facial vein, it is now the infection is moving to pterygoid plexus. From
Pterygoid
there,
plexus.
through emissory veins,
To
it is draining into
going to cavernous sinus.
going into cavernous sinus. Okay, like that. So that is the
Okay.
point beta. So through facial vein, it is entering into superior ophthalmic vein. This is a route by which infection can travel from the facial skin to the cavernous sinus. Okay. Again, here also you have these ophthalmic veins. This is all. This picture also is showing us right cavernous sinus, left cavernous sinus. Okay, the posterior cavernous sinus, pituitary gland. This is sphenoid bone. What is this empty space in the sphenoid bone? Sphenoidal air sinus, isn't it? Pituitary gland, sphenoidal air sinus. Many pictures are there. All these are cranial nerves related laterally. Third, fourth, and fifth, isn't it? Ophthalmic and maxillary divisions are only related, not mandibular. Mandibular goes out through foramen ovale. That will not be related here. Okay, now cavernous sinus thrombosis. Thrombosis means what? Blood clot. Just now we have seen dangerous area of face, no? So that means
Yes.
infection through that route can enter into the cavernous sinus, and because of the infection, the blood may get clotted. Okay, so it may be bacterial infection that has spread from the sinuses or from the oral cavity because of the pterygoid plexus of veins, which are collecting the venous blood from teeth, ears, eyes, nose, and skin of face. Okay, through all these routes, the infection can spread to cavernous sinus. So, in case if the cavernous sinus is infected, whenever there is blood clot, you will see bulging of eyeball, usually on one side of the face. Okay, then whichever cavernous sinus is involved, that particular area you will see this bulging. Okay, because cavernous sinus is closely related to the orbit. Okay, and the venous blood is getting collected over there. Okay, and
Yes.
usually the person will have so much of painful eye, like he will not be able to move. Ptosis will develop, that is the drooping of eyelids, headache. Sometimes if optic nerve is damaged due to compression pressure, there may be vision loss also. Okay, generally to check all these, we do CT scans, MRIs, okay, magnetic resonance venograms, like paranasal air sinuses, X-ray also can be taken. So thrombosis, generally we give thrombolytic drugs to dissolve the clot. Along with that, because bacterial infection is there, we have to go with antibiotics. Sometimes surgery is needed to drain the infection. Okay, so the remaining sinuses like superior inferior before we go to superior inferior petrosal sinus, one more relations I want to tell you. Already though I told roof and floor. Roof, what did I tell you about roof?
The
Asthma.
Optic asthma, yes.
See, medially I said pituitary gland, laterally I said these cranial nerves, no? Third, fourth, fifth, ophthalmic and
Fifth, yeah.
maxillary divisions. Anteriorly, it is related to superior orbital fissure. Posteriorly, it is related to apex of petrous part of the
apex
temporal
of
bone.
petrous part of temporal bone.
Okay, fine. Okay, then roof is formed by this optic nerve of right and left side. They crisscross.
Chiasma.
Okay, optic chiasma. Floor, if you just remove this, if you remove this cavernous sinus, you will see here we will have foramen lacerum. Okay, that means cavernous sinus, its endosteal and meningeal layer, which have split to enclose the venous blood, is basically resting on foramen lacerum.
Okay.
Understood? I asked you to imagine it as a room with six boundaries, no? Roof, floor, anterior wall, posterior wall, medial wall, and lateral wall, something like that. Okay, roof, optic chiasma, floor, foramen lacerum, anteriorly superior orbital fissure, posteriorly petrous part of apex of the petrous part of the temporal bone, medially pituitary gland, laterally third, fourth, fifth
3, 4,
cranial
5.
nerves. In the center, what do we have? Internal carotid artery.
Carotid artery.
Internal carotid artery. Okay. So all these I want you to remember thoroughly because it's an essay question. Okay.
Okay.
So remaining are very small. They may or may not be asked. Like we had again pictures. Without pictures, at least I can't explain. See, this is what are the various things we have. Again, that picture is very good. See, this is sphenoparietal sinus. Here we have superior petrosal sinus. Correspondingly, if you strip this dura mater, we have lower down, we have inferior petrosal sinus. Now you got the location idea, no? And you can study. Superior inferior petrosal sinuses are small sinuses which are situated on superior and inferior borders of vitreous part of the temporal bone of each side of the skull. Okay. Then superior petrosal sinus will drains the cavernous sinus, and from here the blood will go to transverse sinus. Inferior petrosal sinus is also receiving blood from cavernous sinus directly. Internal jugular vein is very close, no, here. That's why it is
Okay.
pouring its blood into internal jugular vein. Okay.
Mhm.
Now this is the flow of blood in dural venous sinuses. You start from inferior sagittal sinus, it moves to straight sinus, then it is moving to confluence of sinus. You start from superior sagittal sinus, it goes again to confluence of sinuses, confluence of sinus to transverse sinus. From transverse sinus to
Sigmoid.
Sigmoid sinuses.
excellent, very good. Sigmoid to
The
Internal jugular
inferior.
vein.
Sorry, the internal jugular vein.
internal jugular vein. Okay, so this is the flow of blood. Finally, internal jugular vein into
Brachiocephalic vein.
The brachiocephalic veins into the superior vena cava.
Yeah, very good.
Write it.
If you trace the cavernous sinus venous drainage, again through superior petrosal sinus, it will be draining into transverse sinus, then into the sigmoid, and the journey continues. Inferior petrosal, just now we have learned
Direct.
directly it is draining into internal
Internal
jugular
jugular.
vein.
Internal
Okay.
jugular.
Internal jugular vein. Okay. I hope you understood this.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.